What were you doing exactly a year ago? Like when you're watching this, not when I'm recording it. I can remember a couple of things, a couple of distinct things. But most of the stuff I was worried about, um, most of the things that I don't have a problem sleeping, but proverbially kept me up at night, I don't remember. It might have been a big bill that I had to break down, you know. Um, it might have been a new client. I'm independent, so a new client that there might have been some stress around it. I had two little kids. Um, I co-parent, so it might have been something going on with them. To be honest, I don't know. And I have a pretty darn good memory. And to be honest, it doesn't matter. I remember like two or three big things, like huge things, what my family might have been going through, um, what goal I set. Um, Ironically, in a meta way, what I was picturing myself being or showing up as. Now, those things matter. A lot of those things were good and came to pass. But the stuff I was worried about, I can't even remember. Like maybe two or three high level things, but they were directly connected to things that are important. The thing is, if you're like me, there's probably 10 things that are on your mind right now. Stuff you're not sure you're going to get through, um, stuff that you're worried about. You might be worried about being worried, you know what I'm saying? And it just continues. But I mean, if you look back a year ago, or even you're going to get really deep with it, 5 years ago, from this date, look at your calendar from this date, exactly 5 years ago. I live by my calendar. Again, I got a family, I got other family members and stuff. I gotta get stuff organized. I run my multiple businesses. So I can really look at my calendar and be like, oh, yo, this is what I was doing on this date 5 years ago. How much of that really matters anymore? How much of it do you remember? And then do a favor for your future self. Recognize that 95 to 99%, depending on the day, of the stuff that you're worried about right now, that you're not sure you're going to get through, ain't going to matter anyway. So then, what is the 1 to 5% that really matters to you? That's going to matter in the long run. Concentrate on that, and you'll be all right. I was I was going through some stuff, and I was talking to my mom, Bernadette Johnson. Love you. Um, and I was talking about decisions I made in the past, um, about my family, about people I love, about my career, and there were certain things along the way that I realized I gave up. You know, I got two little kids, and when me and my former partner decided to have them, if you have kids, you understand. Like you giving something up if you're gonna be an active parent. With this path that led me to you, with having multiple businesses, have some of them fail, having some of them acquired, um, being on the TED stage, and then sometimes not sure how it was going to pay the next bill. There were there were things that had to be let go. Things that I saw my background is journalism, so that I saw my journalism colleagues that took a more traditional route. My co-parenting partner is a doctor, so what her colleagues had experience, whether it's financial security or to be able to, say who you are, what you do, and then immediately people respect it, right? You know, yeah, as they say, I kind of got it from the mud. Not that I grew up in the hood, even though I'm hood adjacent. Shout out to South Jersey, but more that I had to create my own path. And what my mom said was that There's a difference between sacrifices and trade-offs. Sacrifices are when you suffocate, kill, atrophy a part of yourself for this bigger thing. And it might not even be that big of a thing, but you decide to do it. In fact, it might not even be conscious. Before you know it, you dedicate yourself just to your kids, and then you don't have a life when they go over to college or college age, right? You do everything to get the proverbial brass ring and climb the corporate ladder, and you realize there's a piece of yourself or you have nothing of yourself left. You fight for the limelight. I'm a business coach, so I see this all the time. You fight for the limelight. You fight to have your art here or there, and you end up being a hollow man or woman. Sacrifices, though, are different than trade-offs. Trade-offs are you saying, I'm going to let this go because this is more important. Number one, it's a conscious effort. But number two, I found it actually is usually for a limited time. There's ways that I can connect with you right now that I couldn't or wouldn't do 5 years ago. My kids are a little bit older. They can make a little bit of breakfast on their own. You know what I mean? They can take care of themselves a little bit more. And with that, some of that freedom that I let go of when I was a stay-at-home dad, which I still am, but when I was in the trenches with diapers and 2 a.m. feedings and all that, I can start to get some of that back. So the question isn't, is this worth letting go a piece of myself or part of my freedom or whatever to do this? The bigger question, I think, is, does this actually have a reward that makes sense? And is there a way that you can get that back? A trade-off is a conscious effort. A sacrifice, I've found, is something that happens when you're not paying attention to your life. I only got so many friends. When I was younger, much younger, you see the gray hair, the idea, and that perhaps is still the idea, is that you should have as many friends as possible. Network. Connect with everybody, everybody's a potential friend. As I've gotten older, and even when I was younger, which is kind of counterculture at the time, I didn't believe in having a bunch of friends. Later on, Brene Brown talked about this as far as having your top five people, if it's five, that you care about their opinion, your ride or dies. That means that the rest of the folks, the opinions don't matter. And if you're creative, heck, if you're just even living, then this is a key component of it. Because if you start getting into groupthink and, crowdsourcing your opinion, your perspective, it gets dangerous. For me, there's times where I just had literally one friend. And there's other times, like now, where I probably have about a dozen. And because that circle is tight, and because that definition of friend for me is the 3 a.m. in the morning, you need a get out of jail card, or you're in trouble emotionally, physically, mentally, and their asses are going to pick up. That's friendship. I think in this case, quantity is inversely proportional to quality. You can't have 30 ride or dies. Now, when you get to that point, I guess it's more a community, but there still needs to be a little bit of a filtering process. So my friends have ebbed and flowed based on that standard. And me to other people. Sometimes I was not able to reach that standard with other people. And that was okay. You know, I was able to let those go. So, what I would implore you to do is think about the people that are really in your circle, the people that would take that 2 a.m., 3 a.m. phone call from you and actually answer and do something. And most importantly, that you would do the reverse for them. Keep them, protect them, and don't worry about how many you have. I've been a business coach for a little while, a decade. Um, yeah, my youngest son is 9, and I started around that time, so just under a decade. And the big commonality or pattern that I found with entrepreneurs that I coach, and even with my own entrepreneurship, I sold my last startup shortly before my son was born, so about 10 years ago as well. And the biggest commonality and difference I saw between entrepreneurs, founders, creators who not only found success, but actually found success in the long run, is that they built communities instead of consumer or customer bases. Bases as in, a base of people. When it comes to having a customer, that in quite literal terms means it's transactional. Transactional means vis-a-vis, quid pro quo, whatever Latin you want to spit out. Sorry if I'm butchering it. So I can't even say that word. Butchering it for my folks that know Latin. But it means I do this for you, you do this for me. But that's it. It doesn't say anything more than that. Creating community, on the other hand, is you coming from a place of service. Now, you can come from a place of service and still have customers. There's certain opportunities that I have where it's strictly transactional. But actually coming from pure servitude is a different energy. Because that means that your community is also serving you. Me providing, hopefully, insight, whether it's this TV show, whether it's my books, whether it's my coaching, et cetera, the different things that I do, different businesses that I own. The community itself, you are saying, keep going. You're not saying, hey, give me that book. So when you're paying me in money, in time, most importantly, in attention, ad nauseum about that with our current era, you're actually saying, Damon, keep going. That is community, because then I keep going for y'all. And then it becomes what they call a virtuous cycle. So as you're building your companies, or even as you even show up as an artist, think about that. How are you allowing your people that you want to serve you? How are you allowing them to help you keep going? How many pathways have you created so that a community can be fostered versus it being a transactional thing? And that could be based on the communication you have on your website or on your social media. It could be based on how you interact with people. Are you doing check-ins with the folks that you're serving? Have you asked them what they want? Have you given them the opportunity to level up however they're contributing to you? These are questions that the people that were successful in the long run, and I'm talking decades, even some mentors of mine who are got 2, in some cases 3 or 4 decades on me, those are the questions they're asking every single day. They're not trying to get the next sale. They're trying to be connected to someone or a community for years, if not decades. That's the difference between long-term success and somebody that you might read about in the magazines at the moment and then forget their name.